I went to church yesterday, and I'm not just bragging and suggesting that I'm better than you, but that's so Ricky Gervais. That's what he would do. No, I went to church yesterday. The pastor prayed for President Trump and all in attendance on Saturday night at the White House Correspondent dinner. I found that to be encouraging, as very few of his voters were sitting in that Santa Monica church. I'm pretty sure about how that district votes, and it's not heavy, but it's nice to see that we can pray for people we don't agree with or even like, if that's the case. What more do we know about this 31-year-old Torrance, California, part-time teacher and tutor, video game developer, Cole Thomas Allen? Well, he traveled by train. He went L.A. to Chicago and then Chicago to D.C., train the whole way. I guess they don't have the TSA situation that the airports have, so he was, carrying his firearms. He was booked at the Hilton Hotel, the Washington Hilton, since early April, so he got in there and stayed for a long time. Should they be looking extra closely at people with long-term stays? I don't know. Especially a young guy. I don't know. Maybe not. He attempted to charge through the security checkpoint armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and multiple knives. Which tells me he has no real plan. He's just sort of a quack. Knives? Like, what, are you going to get to your knives after your handgun and your seem scattered? He was teacher of the month at a company called C2 Education in December of 2024. He's obviously a smart person, or, not in this way, but high functioning, intelligent. He attended Caltech, California Institute of Technology, graduated in 2017. He's a member of Christian Fellowship, so a man of faith, I guess. Cole Allen created and pitched a new technology at a conference for senior citizens in 2017. I found this on local news, Channel 7 here in Los Angeles. He was the inventor of a wheelchair brake that doesn't just lock the wheels, but it anchors the chair to the ground. Here he is, 2017.
The wheelchair brakes tend to lock the wheels, but don't actually lock the chair to the ground. The idea with this is to prevent it from moving at all.
He could have gone to Shark Tank, this guy. His LinkedIn says he was developing a second video game called First Law. He donated $25 to Kamala in 2024. Anyway, that's what we know about the kid. Another young kid prone to political violence. Okay. On 60 Minutes last night, Norah O'Donnell relayed to the president's face that the shooter did not think highly of him, and he was waiting for her.
He writes this, quote, "Administration officials, they are targets." And he also wrote this, "I'm no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes." What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me.
I love
I'm
that.
not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that, because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I was
these are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead. Let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote.
He was waiting for her on that. And by the, Norah O'Donnell, she's studied the Caitlin Collins of CNN playbook to just hang right in there as he says terrible things about you. I don't know. She sort of has. I can tell you there's pressure in the business, right? Pressure from other people that work at your network, pressure from your editorial staff. Are you going to be the one who goes there? Are you going to be the one that reads those words to him? And Nora, She's a friend, an old friend. I know her well from back when we were in our 20s living in D.C. Went to the same parties, had a lot of fun. But, do you think that he was talking about you? I mean, of course he was talking about her, but she played a little innocent on that. I don't blame her. That's a situation you just have to survive. Someone who survives these situations all the time, our featured guest today. We welcome senior White House correspondent, host of the Sunday Briefing on Fox News Channel, now #1 on Sundays, going to put it in there, Peter Doocy, who asked the president a very poignant question. Do we have the Deuce's question for the president? Is teeing up the Deuce, who's obviously very casual today. I like that look.
Respectfully, why do you think this keeps happening to you?
Well, I've studied assassinations, and I must tell you, the most impactful people, the people that do the most, you take a look at the people, Abraham Lincoln, I mean, you go through the people that have gone through this where they got them. But the people that do the most, the people that make the biggest impact, they're the ones that they go after.
He's bragging. There's no question about it. He's bragging. And but he always has a point, which is really funny. It's like, the Deuce right now. The Deuce is very loose. The Deuce is loose in a hoodie, joining us on a much deserved Monday afternoon off. Wow. Did you expect that answer? And how do you hold a straight face when he's basically bragging that only the great ones get shot at?
Well, here's the reason that I asked that. I was with, I go everywhere with Donald Trump, no matter where he goes in the world. This does seem like it keeps happening. I spent a lot of time with Joe Biden, and we never had a similar situation to this. And yet with Trump, it's just twice on the campaign and now on Saturday. It's unusual to turn around at a fancy dinner and see 5 guys with long rifles and assault gear, a counter assault team, pointing their gun in your direction. And so the president thinks it is because he is having such an impact. I don't know. I don't know what the reason is, but something's got to give. Like these crazy guys on the right, crazy guys on the left.
Well,
it just seems like a very dangerous situation that is not getting any better.
Fire up the memes. I mean, Trump 3, inept loser assassins 0. He's, who are these? He kind of made fun of the guy. He's like, you kidding me? That guy's a loser. He had no idea. He ran in there. I mean, he had no plan. He's obviously a wackadoo, and he's carrying a shotgun, a handgun. He's handing, multiple knives. I mean, what exactly going camping? He doesn't know what he's doing. So clearly, he's not okay. We'll talk a little bit about political violence and conspiracy theories and that stuff later, not to waste your time with it. But the Deuce, I saw you on air at Fox News shortly after, Fearless and Peerless. How was Mrs. Doocy with you?
Mrs. Doocy was watching the kids. My dad was with me, actually, and my sister. They were at the next table over. And we were all separated because I was at the table with my boss, the guy who runs news for all of the Fox News channel. And he basically said, all right, we tried to do an iPhone live shot in the ballroom. There was no bandwidth.
Right.
I was trying to call the president. I looked at my phone later. I called him 8 times. He never picked up in the moment, like while he was off stage, he didn't pick up. And so I went out.
You tried to call him directly on his cell phone to see if he'd pick up?
I did, because who would know better about whether or not he was okay? Because there was such an information vacuum. We didn't know if something happened to him. Like, my back was to the stage. I didn't know if he was down because somebody shot him, because somebody got up there. And so kept trying to call him. We didn't know for a little while. He did eventually call me back at 12:30 in the morning while I was in my closet helping my dad pick out a jacket to wear on Fox and Friends the next day. And I said, Mr. President, how you doing? And he said, Peter, I feel like a piñata.
He did not say that.
It was a bad night. I think he has a terribly unique perspective, because this does keep happening. But he knows the protocol. He knows you got to get down. He knows typically, and I it's all still coming out about the Hilton. There is like a protective barrier at ground level that's like 2 or 3 feet tall for them to get down behind. It seemed like there was a little bit of a delay in getting him down there. But he knows the drill.
Yeah. No. By the way, I mean, his posts today on Truth Social, I mean, I hate to say it, but the man is savvy. He's a savvy marketer, if there ever was one. And he is saying, look, if we had a ballroom like the big one I'm building right here, we wouldn't be wasting time. You know, what happened last night is exactly the reason our great military, Secret Service, law enforcement, every president for 150 years, I mean, I don't know if they've been doing that, but he's makes the pitch for a big, large, safe, secure ballroom. We're wasting a lot of taxpayer dollars, I guess, securing the Washington Hilton when already the White House is a compound, doesn't cost anything extra, and the president can welcome, a crowd that, that size. I don't know. I mean, maybe this is where he at least wins that. Deuce, Susie Wiles is the chief of staff for the president, and I always laugh and love the fact that she is the daughter of the great Pat Summerall, the football announcer paired with John Madden forever. But anyway, Pat Summerall's daughter, Susie Wiles, she's kind of getting blamed by some people for lax security. She oversees the Secret Service. Cole Allen basically mocked her in his manifesto. Is this fair? Has she been available to the press?
She is the one person who pretty much never talks to reporters. There was that one story in Vanity Fair, talked to her a couple times, and she had some quotes that got out that she didn't want out. And so she really doesn't talk to us. She is the one, but it would not be Susie's fault. This does seem like something that, the Secret Service says, oh, well, the plan worked. Well, the plan, there are perimeters set up like 2 blocks away to identify guys with a gun. This person, even though he is it seems like he's got a lot of issues. It was very well thought out. Like, he knew he had to check in the day before. He said he was surprised that there was no X-ray machine at the lobby for guests, which sometimes they do. Like, when we go abroad with President Trump, if there are top officials even below the president's level, they'll scan our stuff and we have to go through metal detectors just to get into hotels. He seemed surprised that was not in place. And he took the stairs down. He bypassed multiple levels that were being patrolled and just popped out basically so close to the door that everybody was in, to the ballroom that everybody was in. And so it's not a Susie Wiles thing prematurely, but now it is going to be up to her to whip the Secret Service and their partners into shape and just say, like, this is crazy, guys.
Totally. Another thing that's crazy was just on our screen. There's no Wi-Fi in that ballroom.
No.
Which is, it's almost like, maybe I don't understand how that could be the case, but nobody could communicate.
And the cells were so jammed. When I was under the table after I saw the counter assault guy's gun about 20 feet away pointed our direction, I was able to get a call out to my wife on using FaceTime audio, but I could not get a cell the whole night.
Peter, you said you were under the table. I saw lots of people go down and get under the table. Let me ask you, did fear strike we live in a desensitized world. We see, this is the 3rd time the president's been shot. We see political violence a lot. We see violence in general too much. Were you legitimately did terror work on you? Were you scared?
I wouldn't say that I was scared right away, but I knew that something bad was happening because these counter assault guys, there can be like a scare or a false alarm at an event with the president, and it's handled with either the event staff or with the just random press assistants or with local police. Like, if somebody starts shouting at a Trump rally, they send a local cop in uniform to go drag him out. I know from going everywhere with him and with Biden, you only see these guys in the full black kit with the long guns, especially guns raised, fingers on the trigger, if something very bad is in
Right.
progress. And so I thought, because the first thing that I saw when I turned around was a gun pointed at us, I thought that there was going to be a shot coming from behind us. And so that's why I got down. I was under the table for more than a minute, which felt like a long time. And then I didn't hear anything. And when I peered back up, they were still there. And there was just so much confusion. Like, guys are saying shots fired. One shooter is down. What does that mean? Where is he? Is he in the room? And something that I would say, I think the biggest failure is that nobody got on the mic or a PA, voice of God, whatever. Nobody even shouted to say, everybody get down.
Right.
That was not part of the equation. And so if the Secret Service thinks there's a shooter possibly in the ballroom, which they thought, somebody could just call out to 2,000 people.
Yeah.
And they never did. It's kind of like up to you. Hey, that looks weird. Maybe I should get down.
Yeah, you got so-and-so, you got, so-and-so, Stephanie Rule from MSNBC go, oh, shit, Peter Doocy's under the table. I'm going to get under the table, too. It's all word of mouth at this point and, in a life and death situation, I guess. The Deuce, you're going to the airport. You got an airport run. I'm glad you're okay. It seems to me, I was going to talk, Kash Patel rebounded a little bit. He's getting some good press for being right in there in the minute. He needed it. There was, I want to talk to you about the labor secretary at another time. Who knew she was so much fun? But you've had a long night. I love you, buddy. Thank you for everything. You're the greatest.
Love you too, Billy. Thanks. I'll talk to you soon.
There he goes. The Deuce is loose on a Monday afternoon in Washington, D.C. I texted with Cheryl Hines, by the way, that night. Sent her a text after seeing her post. She did. The post caught my attention because she was like, showed herself getting ready in this beautiful ball gown, and she was like, "This is the before," and then it, you roll the slides and it goes to, and then all hell broke loose. Then she's talking about she was popping over tables in the Secret Service, or the Bobby Kennedy security detail was carrying her over tables. This is a text that went out with her and her nephew or stepson. Yeah, it's crazy. Bobby's security came in so fast out of the building. They were lifting me over chairs, and then there was video showing her that they were rushing Bobby out, and she was trailing behind in her dress. I'm like, we're splicing. Listen, he's the one that they have to protect. Look at them. They're guiding out different people. There's Bobby Kennedy in the front. She's behind, like, hello, I'm the one in a tight dress here. At this point, it seems everything's secure. But look at those. Look at the SWAT team on the dais right there, right? From Butler, Pennsylvania, when the president was shot, him with his fist in the air is the iconic shot. The iconic shot from the White House Correspondents' Dinner is, a SWAT team guy standing at the podium speaking instead of the president, which is just an indelible and frightening image. Erica Kirk, there's a lot of talk about her just walking through the aisles in tears and emotional. I just want to go home, she says. This is a tough one for me. Sort of fuels the great Erica Kirk debate and divide. People are so divided over her. Like, what do you see, right? A woman who has suffered incredible loss versus, this woman who makes every moment about her. I don't know, but look, it's hard to fill Charlie Kirk's shoes, right? You're not going to do that with a razor-sharp intellect and Mensa-level genius. But boy, people just love to talk about Erica Kirk. I'm done with it. My guttural reaction to the shooting on Saturday night was, I hate to say it, and this is what scares me most about our world. I was numb. I mean, kind of like, I had the TV on. I'm like, oh my God. Yeah. Numb and a little bit open to conspiracy, but far from sold on it. You know what I mean? But there was no horror. There was very little shock. I knew right away in my gut that everything was secured and it was just a whack job. Like, it just felt like, okay. And I don't want to live in a world like that. Trump even seemed bored, right? Evacuating by the whole thing. He was bored so much, like, nah, this one's nothing. Let's go back in there. He wanted to go back in. He was, which is, listen to the way he sort of talks to the country. It's like he was like tired of it already. And I'm sitting there listening to it like, yeah, I get you, you know. I'm tired of it too, but literally they were coming for him and his cabinet and all about and that. But you know, what about these false flags from the left and the right, right? There's like a deep lack of trust with the media and a deep lack of empathy in our world. Journalists from all lanes, both sides of the aisle, which, by the way, they should all be in the center, right? But they're all on the floor, and yet still there's too many people not trusting that this actually happened or that this was a setup or it was either the left or the right, you know, planting this. Where does this all come from? And why does another young person feel justified in resorting to violence to resolve the grievance or injustice at hand? You know, how has that moral barrier come down or been redefined? Look at this kid. Is it social media that enables you to feel emboldened enough to get on a train and travel across the country to take matters in your own hands and try to kill people in our government? Oh my God. Harvard did a study. The Harvard Kennedy School of Government did a study in December of 24. It was the relationship between conspiracy theory beliefs and political violence, right? And their findings were basically like, they studied the correlations between people who adhere to fringe conspiracy theories and then support political violence. They found that attitudinal support for violence and the general tendency to conspiratorially theorize tripled between 2012 and 2022 in that decade. Now, conspiracy theories point to the secret actions of powerful, malevolent actors. Their core claims have yet to be deemed likely true by experts using data and methods that can be openly evaluated, but people who deeply believed in election fraud, right, in 2020, leads to the storming of the U.S. Capitol in 2021. Those who believe in a widespread child grooming scheme commit act of violence. Believers in white replacement theory. The whites are all being replaced. They engage in mass shootings. Beliefs in QAnon, like the active deep state, also related to support for political violence. You get it, right? These types of beliefs are more like, and the algorithms perpetuate it. Do social media companies have a responsibility to regulate this stuff? Yeah, I think so. At this point, do we have enough data? I think so. And of course, you know, it affects those people more likely to, who are predisposed to violent behavior or Machiavellian traits or whatever. Traits, you know, trending towards psychopathy in some way. The president, you know, he has a responsibility, I think, to take a lead on this. I hope he does. He won't, you know, tone down the rhetoric, but I'd like to see him do it. Anyway, enough of that. Let the Secret Service go and fix what's broken, and, you know, maybe the ballroom makes sense. Sorry.